How's it going, guys? It's Joe. Welcome to the channel. Today's another 5v5 GAC with double fleets, and guess what? We are having a rematch with Pasha here. So in the last one, it was a nail biter as I had won by just one banner, and this guy is an absolute beast. I've got to say, his defense last time was pretty unpredictable, and having a look at his stats here as well, as I showed you in the last one, 510k lifetime banners, an absolute ton of undersized wins, and a ton of defensive wins as well. Having a look at the mods, he absolutely smashes me in the plus 20, as he's got 10 more of those. He's got 200 more 6-dot mods, which is pretty insane, and really should be another uphill battle for us. As I did show in the last video, he did rank 30 in Kyber previously. And having a look at the board here, actually his defenses look quite familiar. I have seen this in the last battle. He does like to place his CLS and his Padme up here in the front. I believe last time the Padme was in the back, so I'm not sure what could be sitting in the back. I wonder if he's trying to trick me by making me think that he placed the exact same defense. However, let's get started. So in the bottom, we've got the CLS team here, which is pretty insane. All the mods are optimized, and I believe the last one I did utilize the exact same team I'm using now. Although I believe I didn't use JTR with the last team. I had Holdo with that last team. So they do a fair bit of damage, this team, and they apply a ton of debuffs as well. As you can see, all their turn meter are pretty high from the get-go. These guys are modded so good with speed. And really, I want to take out Chewbacca here from the get-go so we can get rid of the guard. So guard is actually on Han Solo and CLS. And they're able to quickly proc damage immunity on JTR and Finn there, which is pretty troublesome. And now I've got a taunt on OG Finn. However, they've already blasted through JTR. And really, I don't believe I would have had a choice here, as I really wanted to drop Chewbacca, so I used Sudden Whirlwind. And luckily, we still had the damage immunity when they were hitting Poe. It looks like now they're going to be blasting through Finn as well. And I did get to my ultimate just in time. And they got a lucky dodge there. However, we got to our ultimate, so it's a little bit less efficient than the last one with Holdo. So against this matchup, I decided to use Palpatine, Vader, and some Empire characters with Wat Tambor. As I do believe the last time I fought these characters, they were extremely fast. However, this time around, we had Wat Tambor here, so we're able to place the weapon tech onto Vader and stop them in their tracks, as we're able to gain enough turn meter with that weapon tech. And really, I want to drop as many bounty hunters as I can from the get-go. The more of them I'm able to drop, the better it'll be for our banner count. So this was a better outcome than the last one. As we all know, Wat Tambor with Vader is pretty deadly. Though Dengar was able to throw out those grenades, which is pretty annoying. So now I want to get some of that healing back. Get that Bactoid onto Scion and get the healing tech onto Thrawn. So now we've got Dengar out of stealth. Gonna use Culling Blade here. And now the thermal detonators are popping. So this is quite problematic. Lost a bit of protection. They're hoping to regain a bit. Which is why I passed this turn onto Wat Tambor. Gonna Fracture Nest here and hopefully the next Culling Blade does the trick. Which it doesn't, as Nest has accumulated a ton of protection up. And we did lose a bit of protection there, so we got 58 banners in the end, which is pretty efficient in comparison to my last battle with Pasha. And it looks like in the back walls he actually absolutely hasn't changed a thing. As you can see, he's got Gas and JTR waiting in the back walls, whereas in the last matchup he actually had JTR up front and Padme in the back. So really the issue here was that I had committed Vader and Rey. So now I was hoping to get a little bit more efficient, as last time I used my Padme and GMY against Grievous. However, having a look at this Grievous lineup, it did have Droidica, but I don't believe it was too relicked up, which does mean they're not going to be able to apply as much optimal damage to our Night Sisters. So we're losing a bit of health and protection on our Night Sisters here. However, there isn't a Magna Guard, so we're not stuck behind a taunt. And really we want to quickly spread some Plague Stacks. And the main issue here is that Newt Gunray and B2 are fueling this team, and I really didn't want to revive at this point as of yet, as I knew if I'm able to drop one of these characters, I should be able to revive the Spirit without having to use Daka's healing ability. And since it's Spirit that they actually dropped, she's going to be assisting every single time we utilize a basic, which is pretty handy as she does a ton of damage. Although currently we're locked behind Droidica, and now that they've dropped two of them, I should be able to use my healing ability here. We're Force Taunted on Droidica. And looking at the board here, we've got a ton of good plague stacks. So we should be able to drop a couple of them in the one go, which is actually ideal at this point. Having a look, we did have Taunt on Zombie. So Grievous was forced to try and drop Zombie there, which is pretty good for us. And we were able to utilize our revive on Daka. I did want to stun Grievous here. Use the second ability on Spirit. And once we're able to kill Grievous, Talzin revives as well. So I'm not a huge fan of utilizing Night Sisters against Grievous, to be honest. It's quite a nail biter and quite unpredictable, really. There's a lot of RNG involved in that battle. And really at this point I needed to use Nest in this Padme squad, as I've run out of Galactic Republic characters. And of course our main target here is Sith Trooper, and as you can see from the get-go, Vader's doing a good number on us. However, we actually benefited from remodding Padme, as we got our cleanse here fairly early on. I've got about 301 speed on Padme currently, and that's due to guild remodding, which is pretty awesome. And now that we do have a fair bit of protection up, I was able to just drop Vader there and just tank Sith Trooper's AoE. So protection up is pivotal in this matchup, as we're resisting a ton of their debuffs with protection up, and really we're able to mitigate the damage that Vader was applying at one point. And not too unreasonable in terms of banners as well. And I did have Nest there. She's a bit of an outsider. Now, I would have had two choices in terms of this particular matchup. I could have used my CLS like last time, or the other issue is I could have used CLS against the JTR in the back, which is what I had opted for at this point. Now the problem here is that my Grandmaster Yoda wasn't applying enough damage. As you can see, it's taking him a while to drop Anakin here. And usually at this point, we would have at least gotten Anakin down to the red. As I've done this counter a fair bit in the past, and I could tell that something was wrong from the get-go. And then I realized too late that I had remodded my Grandmaster Yoda for speed mods as opposed to offense mods, which is of course entirely my fault, as of course I really wanted Yoda to be fast in terms of modding, as his primary function at this point is to be utilized in a Padme squad for a Grievous counter. Having a look, he has Master's training and still not doing enough damage to drop this Padme. And really, I shouldn't have had a crit damage cross on this Yoda, as he's not applying a lot of critical hits either. And now that we're at this point, as you can see, the clock's ticking, and it's gonna be tough getting rid of this GK with Barrisophie in the back, as she's constantly cleansing those debuffs. So I did try and drop Barrisophie at one point, however, as you can see, there's no critical damage coming from Grandmaster Yoda. And they're constantly just replenishing health as well. And at this point I was in panic mode, as I was looking at the clock and I thought to myself, it looks like I'm gonna time out. I was able to drop Ahsoka there, however there was no getting through this GK and Barrisophie, as I only had about 15 seconds left. So I did need to clean up. Luckily, I did have Nihilus and Treya. So now was a decision of whether I needed a third man here in this team. And I did decide to place Dooku just for the added stuns. And that's a pretty tenacious Barriss Offee. So we're able to annihilate Barriss. And really the other mistake that I would have made here from the get-go is that I probably should have saved Bastila Fallen for offense, as I could have had another option against that Padme. As I knew this JTR team would be problematic as well, knowing the speed on that Resistance hero Finn is about 338, I believe, which is why I really wanted to use the CLS team against this JTR, as I knew I wouldn't be able to outspeed them, and that these two Resistance heroes would apply a ton of damage as well. And really there's so many uses to this CLS squad these days, now that we've got Chupio. And that was a pretty efficient victory compared to the last one. And really, against this gas, I only ever had this leftover Jedi team with Jedi Master Luke and Jedi Knight Luke. This particular gas is modded for armor mods, so really they've got defense sets on this gas and really high protection. Over 120k protection. So having a look, I'm not really scraping through that protection very well. And the main issue here is once gas starts hitting my characters that don't have any protection, he's going to very severely cripple them by reducing their max health. And I believe it's about 20% max health reduction, which is pretty insane. So really gas up to now is vital to roster success, as he does a ton on defense and on offense. As you can see, I'm able to drop the clones. They're not really a problem. However, now I don't have any protection on my Jedi Master Luke. And gas is starting to reduce my max health here. And I probably really should have had a couple more damage dealers on this team, as I was trying to use my the fourth ability there, the Jedi Legacy, to try and get the protection back on Jedi Master Luke. And as you can see, gas was getting through to Jedi Master Luke as I'm on the yellow, and I was still trying to heal him up there with Shakti. I wasn't going to be able to do much with Barriss Offee here though. And have a look, 62k damage on GAC's basic after he gets up. And we lose Jedi Master Luke, which is a bit unfortunate for our banner count. And having a look at my opponent's offensive as well, it looks like he's cleared the board and he's left one fleet. Now I do believe Pasha likes to attack last, so I believe he's waiting for me to finish my battles. And now it's all about thinking about efficiency here, how much undersize in the ships I can do. And I really didn't want to screw up. However, I knew that it was possible to undersize. It's just a matter of finding the right lineup here. But I didn't want to risk too much, so I did place Houndstooth, which ultimately probably wasn't the option to go for, although I did want to be on the safe side of things. As if you can see, I actually dropped his Houndstooth pretty early as well. And I've got Buzz Droids out on the field, and I did play Spy. So now I was able to drop the Falcon so quickly. And I had no need for Houndstooth ultimately, as I was able to get rid of these rebels fairly quickly. 66 banners there, which was better than my last performance, where I got 65, whereas if I had undersized an extra ship, I probably could have gotten 67. And I did have Negotiator here, so it was pretty pivotal that I had Plo Koon as a backup. However, against this Radis, I knew that I was going to be able to drop Rey really quickly. And I did have Rex as a starter, so I was able to use his second ability to replenish my protection on Anakin. So I bring out Plo Koon here. I place the taunt back onto the BLT. Get Undying Loyalty out on the field. Get Ahsoka out. I was able to dispel the taunt. And now I'm just slowly chipping away at this team, trying to replenish as much as I could. And I got that AoE ability, or Mass Assist ability, and ultimately I got 67 banners. So my final score is 2090 there, which I do believe is pretty efficient for tripping in one of the battles. And as it looks like, Pasha is still waiting to attack on that last fleet. At this point, I was just wondering whether he was waiting for me to finish my battles and therefore finding out how efficient he needs to be. So in the front, I did place Bugs and Grievous. In the back, I did place Gas and Mon Mothma. I was trying to change things up a bit. Darth Revan at the top with Supreme Leader Kylo Ren and Bounty Hunters. And it looks like Pasha is actually going. So the thing was that Pasha tripped against my Bounty Hunters in the top there. And what I believe happened was that he utilized his bugs against my Bounty Hunters, and unfortunately my Mando probably got to the Annihilate and was able to drop some of his bugs, and it was probably downhill from there. Although at this point when I was looking at the maths, if Pasha got about 65 to 67 banners here, that I would lose by a couple of banners. So really there's a high likelihood, as I do believe he kept both the Malevolence and Negotiator as well on offense. And if he undersizes and does well against this Throne fleet, he should win by a couple of banners. So finally, he's able to show us his final score, and unfortunately we did lose by 4 banners here. So ultimately, me trying to be more efficient did end in a loss. However, it's always good to try new things, as I do need to work a bit on my modding, which is something that I've learned. And yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed the content today. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. As always, I'll see you on the next one.